Welcome students for today's session on challenges during the COVID-19 pandemic and the quest to help mitigate the crisis differently. In this session, we shall overview the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Every sector is experiencing a unique set of challenges, and one of the most hit sectors is education. However, in these times of test, we all have to evolve with a solution to every challenge and try to minimize the effect the pandemic will have in the longer run. This session also gives some practical measures to be followed when the educational institutes reopen. Besides, we shall also see the possibilities on how students can contribute differently and have a positive impact on themselves, their families, and their peers. Since last 2 months, most of us were unable to go to school, work, or elsewhere, except for the essential service warriors like medical and paramedical staff, police personnel, commodity and medical shops, researchers and scientists working on coronavirus projects, and sanitation workers. The challenge for those who were indoors was to equip themselves so that they also can participate in helping the essential service personnel. Biotechnology and life sciences researchers were navigating through the research and the latest news on the pandemic. And there is a lot of information which has been gathered in these 2 months so that we are better prepared for the future. This led to the development of a virtual Connect hub, and with thanks to the technology service providers, every sector slowly started the work from home model wherever it was possible. In the higher education institutes and in schools and colleges, theory classes were taken online, some examinations were conducted online, and some in silico research continued. However, what was completely restricted was the conduct of practical sessions, which the students have to do themselves in the laboratory, and the wet lab research projects. After the work is resumed in most of the organizations, this setback to practicals and the in-lab research is a matter of concern, where inputs from each and every person may offer a unique set of solutions. As per the guidelines released by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and by UGC, AICT and MHRD, it is mandatory to follow certain norms while we join back to our classes and duties in the post-lockdown period. We need to give utmost priority to social distancing. We might have to consider offering classes in small batches, which will impose upon us the need to work on rotation and in different shifts during the day due to limited availability of the number of classrooms and laboratories. We have to take care of our personal hygiene and good sanitation practices. We might have to continue offering online classes for a part of teaching and would have to evolve the teaching and learning with support of technology as well as technologically open minds. The faculty members would be required to upgrade in technology besides the need for a technologically robust infrastructure. To ensure that we train ourselves in practicals in the laboratory, we would have to imbibe several procedures in our daily routine. For example, daily recording of body temperature of students and staff, installation of automated sanitizer dispensers, screening of visitors by monitoring body temperature and noting their travel history, address and phone numbers, periodic counseling of students to adapt to this new teaching learning methodology, regular sanitization of classroom, laboratories and common areas, appropriate facilities for disposal of used masks and gloves. We would have to use masks and gloves in the laboratory besides lab coat. We might have to reduce the number of students per practical batch by 50%. To develop a better understanding of the practicals to be performed, the teachers might have to record the procedures in a stepwise manner and make the videos available beforehand to all the students. It would be mandatory to have your own lunch kit and not to share your utensils with others. In case where common facilities are allowed, proper hygiene and sanitization practices would have to be followed. In order to contribute in mitigating the pandemic, the non-COVID research projects will continue. However, a flow of funds would be towards the top priority COVID-related research projects, which include development of adequate medical facilities for both COVID and non-COVID patients, new and rapid diagnostic methods for the detection of coronavirus infection, new vaccines and drugs for the treatment of coronavirus infections. Since biotechnology research would play a very important role in understanding of disease response, in diagnosis and in development of vaccines and new drugs, it would become essential that more and more workforce of biotechnology is trained to handle infectious agents and samples. And more number of biosafety compliant equipped laboratories are developed to handle the challenges of this pandemic and any such medical crisis situations. In silico research also has to be equally strengthened to save time and to give lead drug molecules for testing against such devastating infections. Besides doing core research on COVID or non-COVID projects, there are many other ways in which the students can help the main workforce. For example, students can continue to spread awareness and help the government to increase its outreach for social distancing and hygienic practices. They can participate in computational analysis of metadata arising out of both COVID and non-COVID research. They can conduct online and offline surveys pertaining different social and economic challenges arising each day. Students can counsel people for a better lifestyle and focus on development of health and fitness regimes. Young people can take care of the school children and help them adapt to this phase of transition. Innovators can participate in automizing and help to develop a contactless culture that is the need of the hour. Students can also opt for online courses in epidemiology to be able to participate officially in epidemiological surveys related to infectious diseases and other health conditions. Students can popularize science in a simple and lucid manner by writing blogs, creating educational resources for online platforms, and can contribute to research teams' workforce by writing reviews on the subject area of their choice. They can develop their personal skills by enrolling in approved online courses like the Swayam platform and earn credits as approved by MHRD. They can prepare for competitive exams and attend series of webinars hosted by our institute from time to time. They can help in enhancing the outlook of the institute website and manage the e-content of the website. Besides helping themselves, they can also offer to help others by providing psychological first aid to those who are directly or indirectly exposed to the COVID challenge. They can thus equip themselves through education and through online psychological courses to be able to help those in need. Most important, the students of Dr. D.Y. Patil Biotechnology and Bioinformatics Institute can contribute their education and research related e-content to the YouTube channel of the institute, where the resource material is available for everyone. There are plenty of opportunities for biotechnology students to participate in COVID research directly or indirectly and become a warrior. And those who wish to do so would have to strengthen their mind and convince their families that with the adoption of proper protection gear and safe hygienic practices, they would participate in COVID research. We also cannot ignore other ailments in this crisis. Hence, workforce and rigorous research is also necessary for other prevalent diseases and disorders. Research on strengthening immune system would be a welcome, and medical, paramedical and biotech researchers would certainly be of great help in this crisis. Thus, people should willingly come forward to accept the challenge of doing COVID research. As discussed earlier, Students can participate in research and skill development. And moving on, we would take an overview of the different types of research articles the students can contribute. There are different types of research articles which one can prepare while working in the lab or while at home. The research articles are mainly of three types: primary, secondary, and special. Primary articles mainly include original research papers, case reports, and technical notes. Secondary type of research articles include both narrative and systematic reviews. And special type of research articles include letters to editors, which can highlight the research results, although less substantially than a full research paper would. Then there are correspondence articles, which analyze a particular aspect of previously published research article. Editorials, which are generally given by editors or guest editors of a particular journal or a particular issue. Commentaries, which can be of scientific, legal, commercial aspect of a particular research. And perspective, which includes discussions that are narrow in scope but are highly technical. Some types of articles can be submitted only upon invitation from the journal editors. Original research papers generally follow the MRAD pattern, where title, authors, their affiliations, abstract, and keywords would be followed by introduction, methods, results, and discussion. This would be followed by conclusions in some journals and then by the list of references. The most important point is to clearly define the purpose of your research in the article. While preparing the manuscript, one must carefully choose the journal from the UGC care list, which is an approved list by the Government of India to curb the menace of predatory journals. One should ensure that the research has followed all the regulatory compliances, particularly for the studies involving animals and human volunteers. The manuscript should be carefully framed with original content and should be free of plagiarism, which can be verified using approved plagiarism checking softwares. It is essential that the source of information should be duly acknowledged and the literature adequately cited. Research is a teamwork, and professional ethics are mandatory in performing research and communication. It is important to obtain a written consent from all the authors of the manuscript prior to communicating it to a suitable journal. Any conflict of interests must be declared beforehand. If any intellectual property is associated with any part of the data, it must be protected by first filing a patent. All the data in a manuscript must be statistically evaluated and represented appropriately by using illustrations and tables. The literature should be cited in an approved format like APA, and the reference list can be compiled by softwares like EndNote, Mendeley, and many others. The manuscript draft then should be communicated to the Institutional Review Board. For example, the Institutional Review Board at our institute is called as Committee for Monitoring Research Activities at the Institute, and it is acronymed as CMRAI. Upon clearance from the Institutional Review Board, the online submission process should be followed with the submission of all relevant data along with a cover letter to the editor. And then one has to just wait for the decision from the editor. We now move on to the type of review articles that can be framed. Narrative type of review articles generally have a topical approach and they lack a specific hypothesis, whereas systematic reviews would be focused on a specific topic and would offer information from several research papers in a concise and systematic manner. However, qualitative systematic reviews would not statistically combine the results of the studies, which are generally done in quantitative systematic reviews. Thus, quantitative systematic reviews give a lot of useful information, which is particularly helpful in making critical clinical decisions. Once we decide on the type of article we wish to write, We should go ahead with choosing the topic, the journal, shortlist the keywords, do a rigorous literature search, read every paper, every source of information, and make critical notes, assemble the data from each research paper, and compile it in an organized manner. The review should be then structured with all the elements organized into structure, synthesize all the data, and give appropriate interpretations. A good effort generally culminates in a good article. In conclusion, we wish you a good health and we encourage you to utilize this time effectively and develop your skills for a brighter future. As it is said, don't limit your challenges, instead, challenge your limits. Thanks for watching and support the safety measures to win all over again. Thank you so much.